everybody. If you caught our weekly recap show we did on Sunday, we appreciate you. If you didn't, go back and check it out after we cover this 7-game Tuesday slate right here. My guy Mike is joining me. Let's get to it. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. We are powered by the galaxy's greatest website, DrRoto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. Every once in a while, I pretend to be. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train at Dr. William Cannon on X. But my man joining me on your viewing device tonight on this fine college basketball program, no other than El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG of all OGs named Money Mike. That's Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Hey, man, I'm in my white tee. Yep. Man, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to just notice, man. I just got home, took off the old work shirt, and, here I am, man. I'm in Chillville right now as we cruise down the final few weeks here of the regular season and conference tournament season. That chat right here, man, is already blowing up. We'll get to you guys here in just a second. But guess what, man? We already have the One and Done. It was done like 4 or 5 hours ago. The One and Done Invitational, not the
MC Holland 34 Invitational. Yes.
The One and Done Invitational number 5 is actually in the title. # bread in the description is up. So link right there. It's been a lot of fun. We upped the entries to 40. The first 4 that we did filled all the way up to 30. So I figured, why don't we get 10 more breadheads in there? A little top heavy, but hey, it sticks with the theme of DraftKings. Top 5 are still going to pay out, so a little extra cheese. And again, a shout out, Forklift's in here saying what's up. He won the 4th Invitational. So yeah, lots going on, man, and this is going to be a fun slate to rock it out.
It is going to be a fun slate, a 7-gamer on a Tuesday. Michael hopping in the live chat. Good evening, fellas. And Darren, of course. Darren's always all over our socials. Big scores and no Emmys. No Emmy, no Emmy, no Emmy, no Emmy. Stop. Big bucks. There we go. We're looking for the big bucks on a Tuesday. And if you're looking for those big bucks, you're in the right place because we're going to help you get there. We're going to lay out that blueprint tonight. If you're watching live, maybe you're watching in the morning with the bowl of the Lucky Charms, eh? Drinking the coffee too. Hey, if you are, we appreciate you all the same. Leave us a comment. If you're watching later, live chat right now, if you're hanging out with us, the link is going to be in the description too for that One and Done Invitational if you're watching later on. So it might fill up during the show. It's been filling up, y'all. Might want to get in there. Michael's in. Of course he is. Way to go, Michael. Let's ride. Let's ride on to this 7-game slate. Mike, kind of a crazy slate we have up ahead of us here and an opportunity for us to have a little fun.
Yeah, this is going to be it's not everything, man. I mean, look at the slate. You got a couple of totals over 150, but they both have double-digit spreads. You've got a couple of totals under 140. There's value already. We're going to talk about 8 to 10 guys that you kind of feel safe with under kind of 5K. But I say safe, but there's some volatility to some of these guys. So we're going to have to, we'll talk through it, see which value plays make the most sense for us. And then, we'll be able to go up and get a couple of studs. And there are studs galore, which hasn't really been the case on made slates. I mean, do you want Kalkbrenner? Do you want Peavy? Do you want Dixon? Do you want O'Meary? Do you want Braden Smith? Do you want Harper or Bailey? Top 3 picks in the NBA draft? Do you want Trey Johnson? We got Hubbard. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun building lineups, man. So I'm looking forward to this thing.
Not as much of the coin flip stuff anymore. Am I going to go with this guy or am I going to go with this guy? Lots of options to spend up for. Mike's Money Picks jumping in there talking about the 7-game slate, feeling like it's the perfect size. Well, we're going to get a chance to test those waters out on a Tuesday, ladies and gents. We're going to do it, but not before you make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. One and Done, WON, One and Done College Basketball over on YouTube. Of course, if we see a lot of you watching on X, which is where you can find this show at One and Done CBB, spelled out there. You see it scrolling across the bottom of your viewing device right there. Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Follow them all. Why not? We're already all scrolling our phones anyway. What's another account to add on there? Just click them all. Might as well do it. Oh, look who it is. Look who it is in the live chat. Bread going up on Tuesday. Nape C. Hustle. What it do, baby? Hopping in there. Nape doing stuff behind the scenes for us. Hopping in the host chair every now and then. Good to see him in the chat along with Cam.
Ooh, tilted Cam in the chat. This would be great.
Ooh, going to be a fun night. I can tell already. And, of course, can't not talk about our guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Eric the Blue pushing the buttons tonight behind the scenes. We appreciate him. So hop in the live chat, get him busy, pushing a bunch of buttons as we roll onto this 7-game slate. We're going to start with Rutgers at Purdue, a 154-point implied total. Of course, these are all Ken Palm's metrics that you will hear us refer to on this show. So if the line right below me here looks a little bit different than it does on your local book, that's because we're using Ken Palm's projections here for these games. So 154 implied points here. In the first matchup, Purdue won on the road 68-50. So a little bit of that blowout danger there if we get a repeat of that. Braden Smith had 16 points and 14 dimes. TKR had 16 points as well. Ace Bailey for Rutgers actually went for 17 and 7 boards. Let's start with Rutgers, Mike. 71 points implied here. 102nd in the country in tempo as well. Purdue, though, has been pretty solid defensively overall. But, yeah, I mean, here we go. We got a 32nd in bench minutes used, Mike. Like, we that's the double thumbs down, right? We're going to get a double thumbs down here for sure. What do you think about this one? Dylan Harper, I mean, it's one of those that might just be a contrarian spend up on the road here. The Michigan cool down, if you will, after back-to-back 50 burgers. Yeah. One of the highest ceilings on the board, Mike, but it's a tough spot for Dylan Harper for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that I love it, but I mean, God, we have so many studs. Like this is the perfect slate to play a bunch of lineups. So yay me. I'm going to be mixing and matching. I'll have Harper. I mean, he's got 50 fantasy point upside. I just worry they got blown out at home. They're actually better on the road. Rutgers is actually, and like their metrics as well as their shooting is better on the road. So if you're going to play Harper Bailey, you're hoping that comes into play. But I could see this one getting out of hand and Purdue winning by 18 plus again at home this time. So a little worried about that for Dylan Harper. But yeah, I mean, he's a stud. It's also tough too when Ace Bailey's $1,100 cheaper than him, right? He has, doesn't flash the 50 as often, but 40 plus fantasy upside. Impressive road splits for him. He's just a beast, right? You love the fact that he just takes a ton of shots, has that high rebounding upside, could potentially walk into a cheaper double-double if the game's close, has some stock upside. So for $1,100 cheaper, one of these two, I mean, they're just so involved. And that's what makes it hard to play anybody else on Rutgers, especially on the road. I mean, what are we going to do? Play Jeremiah Williams, Lathan Somerville, Tyson Acuff. Like all of those guys are just kind of there and they're just kind of okay. I mean, I'm not excited about any of those guys. Williams, I know, has kind of had a little bit of a boom bust for tourneys, 5,500. I mean, 2 of the last 3 he's gone for 25 and 30. But man, I don't know, dude. Like it just feels like it's either Harper or Bailey for me. Tyson Acuff more of a secondary attorney play. Somerville, his rates are just okay. Doesn't shoot the ball a lot. Price is up a little bit too. Has a little bit of upside. So I don't think there's really a need to go to these guys because we're going to talk about a lot of value. So yeah, I think for me, man, it's really going to just be Bailey and Harper. And even those guys are contrarian on the road here, Jay. So obviously this total for Purdue is much higher and they have studs of their own. So
83 implied points for Purdue, as you were alluding to there. When you look at a matchup here, Rutgers is 14th out of 18 teams in the Big Ten in defensive efficiency. So obviously playing into the Boilermakers' hands. Going to get a 3-ball boost here and a rebounding boost. Of course, Rutgers giving it up from beyond the arc and struggling to clean off the glass this season. A couple of big names on this side that we've got to always entertain. They at least have to be in our thoughts anytime Purdue is on the slate. Braden Smith and TKR. We talked about them earlier and the damage that they did last game. What are your feelings on them for this one?
Yeah, well, I always crossed off Lawyer. He's like the only other guy that plays 30 minutes. The rest of the team plays 20 minutes a game. So I'm not doing any of the hiding, any of that stuff. But Braden Smith, he did 16 points and 14 assists against these guys on the road. Crushed them for 50 fantasy points. Cam's asking the real question, is Smith over 20%? I don't think so. I don't know if there's going to be a stud. Like, I don't see how there's a popular stud. Maybe he gets the 20-25% because especially what he did against these guys last time. He is at home, huge team total. I could see him getting to 25, maybe a 30% mark. But, man, like we listed off, and we're going to talk about all these studs that are available to go to. I actually think, TKR did not have the best game against these guys, but I actually like how he profiles against them. So I'm not going to use a one-game sample size, right, to determine how this game's going to go every single time. TKR could have one of these games. I mean, he nearly scored 20 points, right, against them last time. Well, if he matches that with the rebounding, they can't stop anybody inside. So, he has an opportunity to go for a big number, like 40 fantasy points. The problem is at 8,900, right? It's kind of, I wish he was 8,400, right? 8,200 feels a little bit sweeter. So,
but you might as well spend up for Smith at that point. Is almost how I'm feeling. Like, I know that's $800 cheaper, but still, like, I'm just feeling like if I had to pick one of these guys to get the 50 in this one, it'd be Braden Smith. So, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I think that to answer my take on Cam's question, like, I think when there are so many things, like in terms of the star power on this slate, all things being equal, you do go back and look at the box score. What did these guys do in the last matchup? Boom, going right back to it. And like you said, Mike, this time it's at home, and this could get out of hand, and not necessarily in a bad way, because those guys are going to be on the floor. So, yeah. I mean, either way, I think you could really hit here. But for me,
you feel good clicking the button, Braden Smith. I think you're going to see him later on in our
for sure.
In our stuff.
Oh, is that what they call a tease?
A little bit of a tease.
Oh, wow, how about it? Good stuff there. You know what else is good stuff? The fact that we are less than 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday. If you're planning on filling out a bracket and entering into a pool with your friends, coworkers, whoever, the uncle that you don't really like, that's cool. But if you want to level up this March, invite those same people over to BracketBids and start an auction draft league. That's right. Our friends at BracketBids are changing the game by bringing a fantasy sports aspect to the greatest tournament in the world. Why bid on those lowly 15 seeds in an auction draft? Because they may be the ticket to winning your league. Set up your league for free. You can go set it up for free and get a league link to send out to everybody that you want to. And then once it's time to activate it, make sure to use that promo code BREAD, 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 for a 40% off discount. 40% off. Yeah, BREAD. That's all you got to do. Type it in there at checkout to get everything rolling over there with our friends at BracketBids. Download the BracketBids app or go to bracketbids.com today and check them out. That description, that's going to be in the link. It usually is. Our friends at BracketBids. There's going to be a link in the description, and it's going to take you right to their site with that code preloaded. So just look for that. Our friends at BracketBids, we definitely appreciate them. All right, moving on now to game number 2 in this 7-game slate. North Carolina favored on the road at Virginia Tech, a 152-point implied total. Back-to-back games over 150 on the totals to start. We like that, Mike, especially on the slate this size. And this one with a Tar Heel team firmly, and when I say firmly, I mean as slippery as it can get on this bubble. Yeah. Got to pick up this win. Cannot afford to slip up at this point. And they are implied for 80 points, according to all of Ken Palm's metrics here. We know the Hokies aren't great defensively. They're not going to turn you over. They can't protect the rim. So North Carolina, I mean, 80, this is one where if you look at this and you look at a guy at the top of the spending here and you consider like what could happen in a total like this, You know, could be an interesting investment here at 8,400 for RJ Davis. But anyways, Mike, your thoughts? UNC on the bubble. They've got to win this one. This has to be a statement almost game to go out on the road and win this game like they should win it. And again, this intrigues me, man. Like RJ Davis, I know he hasn't really gotten it done a ton lately, but it's just like when you're paying up for a guy in this sort of a must win for his team at this price, that's the sort of way you can maybe get a little bit different in a big field.
I mean, we keep saying it, right? Like RJ Davis, but I mean, the price is down 500. Shot 4 for 12 last game. We're talking about like potentially, but more of a cash type. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if he can be considered cash because he's just not. It's so spread out with North Carolina right now. It's not as condensed as we're used to seeing Hubert Davis. There's not like 5 guys playing, 37 minutes like it's always been. I think, it's 5K to first, right? There's a lot of teams. If you want to take a shot on RJ Davis because you're playing a bunch of lineups, like why not? Like he could absolutely explode for 30 real life points, right? So I probably play him on one line. I don't think we've seen it. But even if he goes for high 30s, you don't mind that at 8,400. The problem is that for 1,600 more, there's a bunch of guys that can go for 50. So that's why you really want him. Cam's saying a good cash play. But something he's putting up 20s and 25s, and I don't know. I think RJ Davis for kind of a large field tournament option here. So I'm in it, man. I'll throw it in probably one of my lineups. The rest of this team, Trimble, I much would rather play Cadeau. Trimble's not, you can't play him right now. He's kind of in this like 22 to 24 minute role. He's too expensive. He'll dip under 6K, but Elliot Cadeau at 6,400, he's locked into 27 minutes, Jay. Like, it's annoying. Like, we can't get 30 minutes out of this guy, but every now and then he has like that random Elliot Cadeau game. So it feels like this North Carolina squad is all tournament action, man. Maybe he gets the Cadeau, the cover boy, treatment, and that gets you up to a 5X type ceiling.
We've been waiting. I know they've been calling in the streets for an Elliot Cadeau cover appearance. I've heard it,
Yeah.
And he's on there. Why not get the one and done cover?
Right.
Appearance,
Like, come on, man. And then I would seriously take a look at, it's an 80-point total. I get that it's spread out, right? But Davis is down, almost damn near lower than we've seen him in a while. Cadeau is 6,400, which isn't a terrible price for him for his upside. Vinal and Lubin, finally, we were talking about this offseason. I thought he was a decent pickup. They missed out on, Morier and like all these guys in the offseason. But at 5,500, I was like, why are they not playing him 28, 29 minutes? I thought Jalen Washington would be a little bit better. He's had some flashes, but not been as good. But look at the trend. 29, 17, 29 minutes in the last 3. The game that he had 17 minutes, he was in foul trouble at Florida State. He was honestly tough on bigs anyway. So if you're going to project him out for damn near 30 minutes against a team that struggles, right, and they can't protect the rim, this is probably an interesting tournament spot for Vinal and Lubin as well. Drake Powell, 5,300. Like, Jay, there's a couple of guys here that could do something, man, but we don't see any consistency in like these big tournament games. It feels like it's once a month with one of these guys. So yeah, kind of scary for tournaments, but that's why they're large field plays. People aren't going to play these guys, and honestly, for somewhat of a good reason.
Yeah, and that's the sort of the finding the combo, right? If you hit the Vinal and Lubin night, chances are you're going to see some green screens. Like it. But again, like you said, is it once a month? Is it once every couple of weeks that they just take these? It's one of the reasons why I think that they haven't been able to sustain any sort of success across this season. They just don't have any sort of identity, and that comes down to production. It comes down to different consistencies from their play. It's tough for me across the board I like RJ Davis though, man. We'll see how it goes. Virginia Tech on the other side of this one, Mike, 72 points. The Tar Heels give up some points to opposing front court. So, we're going to have to consider some Tech's bigs here. But unfortunately, the 26th in bench minutes used.
God. A lot of that on the slate, too.
It makes me want to puke. Tobu Lawal, speaking of big men, Tobu Lawal, game time decision, though. Little sick, got the sickness, got the illness, got the virus. questionable tag right now. The last time we saw, right, Mike? 7K flat.
Yep.
Sounds like he's closer to out than in, unfortunately. But if he's in, I think he's in the player pool. Mike, obviously would hope that he could find a way to play and take advantage of this defense that has not exactly been too stout against the interior players of opposing teams. But outside of the wall here, any options for a little bit less?
I mean, this guard rotation's a mess. If you're going to see Jaden Young play 40 minutes in an overtime game, maybe they'll click him against UNC. I don't know. I'd project him out for like 26 to 28 minutes in this one. When you project him out for that, it's not like when you project him for 38 minutes in a game. So probably not getting to these guys. There's nothing really safe. Like they want to get shut a bunch of shots off the bench. Probably not messing with that. I'm looking for the bigs, man. Like Poteet at 5K if Lawal misses. I think his upside is kind of interesting. Reminds me a little bit of Vinal and Lubin on the other side. So, yeah, man, it's tough to get to the side, even in a nice matchup at home. So I think for me, if Lawal's in, I'll have some interest in tournaments. If he's out, I got to have some interest in Poteet, but I'm just probably not touching anything other than those two bigs. And Mike's jumping in here saying thinks UNC might go big and play guards less. I mean, I'll push back on that a little bit because I'm not playing Jalen Withers for 6,500 or whatever from North Carolina. So Lawal's like 6'8", and Poteet's a big body, but Vinal and Lubin can handle him. So UNC wants to play small and they want to get up and down. They can only play fast if they have a bunch of guards out there. So I appreciate the take, Mike. We love when people, jump in there and give us their take, Jay.
Yeah,
so.
We'd like to hear that. And listen, if this is another one of those issues, UNC not just doing their thing. You see all these talented guards on this roster, and instead of just letting them run out there, they want to get up and down, and they should. But, would it be surprising if Hubert Davis just found a way to, muck it all up in a game that they have to win? I would not be shocked. I wouldn't.
Jeremy and Cam are going to get mad at you right now, man. You gotta be careful.
They know ball. They know. How about Virginia Tech? Oh, we just talked about Virginia Tech. Poteet. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I can't throw a Wessler dart on Cam. I can't because there's other value that I'd rather get to. Like you don't have to jam this random stuff in. So, but I get it because it's UNC bigs. So yeah, the bigs against each other. Somebody's going to have some fantasy points.
I didn't see what's Wessler priced at. I didn't see.
Wessler's at 4,200.
Okay.
Probably going to play 16 to 18 minutes.
Even if
there's a lot of guys. Yeah, I don't really have any interest in him, man. I'd rather go to Poteet. Yeah, because we saw Lawal miss last game. He got 20 minutes, right? So yeah, 20 to 22. I could definitely see that, but I just don't see maybe 4x. But for tournaments, I want 5.
Yeah, but I got you. Chasing that ceiling. I got it. Good stuff. All right, 2 games down in this one. 5 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 to go. If you're hanging out with us, we appreciate you. Why don't you hop in the live chat like C. Thuggin did? I got Cam, Mike's Money Picks, Forklift Jeremy. Always good to see you in there. Darren, Napier, Michael. Who else is in there? Live chat's been hopping since we stopped stopping, if you know what I'm saying. Let's hop in there and hang out with. Like and subscribe. Show us some love. Do your part in the one and done universe. We definitely appreciate everybody that hangs out with us, whether you're doing it on YouTube. If you're over on X, thank you. Do us a solid. Get over to YouTube. One and Done College Basketball. Subscribe. Show us some love. We appreciate you. Really help with the show. And visit our friends at BracketBids too, for sure. Help them out. We love BracketBids. We also love this matchup a little bit less than the first two. Creighton at Seton Hall, 132 implied points here on this one. The first matchup, the Blue Jays just mollywop Seton Hall at home by 25, 79 to 54. Kalkbrenner went off. Dual hit 10, 4, and 5 as well in that first game. So let's start with Creighton though here. Seton Hall just not good defensively at all. Assist boost for the Blue Jays. 262nd in bench minutes used, so obviously much better than the 32nd and 28th crap that we've been dealing with some of these other teams. A little bit clearer idea of what Creighton's going to do here. Seton Hall's going to try to muck it up and slow it down. Does that affect how you feel about Kalkbrenner at 10.8K, Mike? For me, I feel like the game's got to stay close. And if it does, he'll absolutely smash them. Who is going to guard Ryan Kalkbrenner, Mike? Who? Tell me. Nobody.
Nobody on Seton's roster.
No, they're not. The transfer portal isn't hopping somebody in overnight to body up Kalkbrenner here. 48 fantasy points in 32 minutes in the first matchup. What if it's close? Mike, what if it's close? What if he plays 36 minutes? What if he plays 37 minutes? Tell me.
You're probably going to need him.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
it's good play, don't you think?
So good, right? I mean, terrible defensively. He's an inside-outside guy. They're getting up 38% from 3 and 56% from 2. I mean, even Ashford's decent. The 8,800 on Ashford's always annoying, but I mean, what do you have, like 9 assists in that first game? So, yeah, there's your assist boost right there. Yeah, I like Ryan Kalkbrenner a lot up there at the top. I need Seton Hall to keep this close at home, and he will absolutely crush these guys, like you said. Ashford and Jemiah Neal, they'll play the whole game if it's close too. Ashford, though, man, near 9K, just – more of a cash guy. Like that ceiling just doesn't really jump off in this type of game environment. So I probably won't go to Ashworth. Jemiah Neal, though, is interesting at 7,500. He hasn't been that cheap in quite some time. So he's got some turning upside. I think he's not going to be owned at all. He's going to play every minute if it's a close game. So yeah, man, I think you have to like Kalkbrenner here, which makes Ashworth and Neal interesting because every time we come on here, we say, Jay, we got to play Janai Broom 100%. And then Janai Broom has 9 fantasy points in like an awesome matchup. Or everybody's got to play the Axel Lindeborg. And then Christian Coleman has an awesome game because Lindeborg has 3 fouls at halftime. So,
yeah.
It makes sense for Ryan Kalkbrenner to have a great game here.
It does make sense. I feel like you got to find a way to spend it. Like, you got to find a way to drop the 10.8K for sure. Now, Mike, I'm going to give you an option here. We could talk about Seton Hall, or we could talk about Io Sky just beating Rhea Ripley for the women's world title. Is that which one do you want to do? Because I mean, if you're Cam, you're going to want to talk about Isaiah Coleman. I know you're talking about a mini stack in this one, but what's more interesting than a 61-point Seton Hall implied team total here? I don't know, man. Like, they just play so many guys, like, and the total is so low. Like, how do you even? It's Isaiah Coleman, Dylan Adaiwusu, maybe. Like, I don't know, dude.
I
talk me into this.
How can you play Dylan Adaiwusu at max price? Just play him, I guess. In a 61 total, I'm not doing it. Like, I get that I talked shit last time and he did it. He's not gonna do it again. Like, you can pay, season high price point for him. I'm with Cam, though. Coleman missed the first game. Dude, I play this guy all the time in large field tournaments at 8,100. Like, he plays every minute. He's going to take 20 shots. Like, he's on the floor. His other rates aren't terrible. Like, he has upwards of high 30s fantasy points. He can get to 40 at 8,100. So you definitely don't mind that. Large field only. I'm not playing Daw. But Alik Bay, he was 6 for 8 from the field against these guys last time without any help. So don't think we can get there, man. To me, it's Isaiah Coleman or nothing. Like, there's not a lot to like on a 61-point team total. And then we have the game after it that has all kinds of value and scoring and everything you would ever want in a DFS game.
Listen, if it wasn't for Isaiah Coleman, we would have only talked about the women's championship match that just happened. Really, honestly, like, I get it. Like, that's a lot of money, though, for 2 players, and I get wanting to, if it's 132-point implied total here, but of the guys that are going to that are going to score the fantasy points, right? Like, it's almost just feels like there's going to be some value here, Cam. I know you're going to be able to find the value. We're going to talk about some value here, especially, Mike, like you said, in this next game. But before we get to that one, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Show your broskies in basketball some love. Definitely appreciate it. At One and Done CBB on all the socials. Head over to drroto.com, too. Mike's dropping some good stuff in those Dr. Roto streets. Mike's Money Picks is as well, you know, a bunch of stuff going on over there. Our guy Eric writes articles for 47,000 different publications. He's the man. Always on radio doing his big things, and he's kind enough to hang out with us and do such a good job pushing the buttons behind the scenes. Can't wait. Maybe some fire emojis in the chat, Eric. Can we get it flaming a little bit? Can we get it? Can we get it going? We'll see. We'll see here. How about
it? Just sleep at the wheel or what?
I know he's good. You know that man's busy. You know that guy's doing so much stuff right now. As I just stare at you blankly at the screen for a little bit, he's got the wheels turning behind the scenes. You know he is. Good stuff always. Eric the Blue. Fantasy Nav on Twitter. All right, LSU and Kentucky. Darren's putting us on double alert for Amari Williams. But we're not going to start with Kentucky. We're going to start with the LSU side. Going to be some possessions in this one. LSU is 151st in tempo, and Kentucky is 34th. So they're going to get up and down a little bit. It helps that Kentucky does not stop anybody. Like, nobody. Porous is a kind adjective to describe what they've been doing. 15th in the conference in defensive efficiency and giving 57% from 2 in the conference. So that's not really a recipe for success, but against an LSU team, Kentucky should take care of business. But LSU is going to have some opportunities for some fantasy points here. Victorious Miller, doubtful. Corey Chest, unlikely to play here. So down to 7 guys. Mike, we love a tight rotation around these parts, and it's what we're going to get out of LSU in a big-time total. And you talked about it, the value on this one. Outside of Cam Carter, everybody is super, super cheap. And even Cam Carter, 7,700 here. Now let's think about it. It's that cheaper options that are to come that are sort of popping off on everything that we're looking at from a projection standpoint. I don't know, man. There's a lot of cheap projections in this, cheap options in this one. Interesting turning play, right? Let's get a little bit different. Leads the team in shot rate. Doesn't really do a ton else, but you know that if you watch any LSU games at all. You don't really need to get cute here. Let's get to those cute here. I'm out. It's cute now. No need to get cute here. But how about some cheaper options on this side, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to flock to them, Jay. So, I mean, and Cam is saying that maybe because it's Cam and Cam Carter. He's saying he likes him in a stack with Williams, Butler, Carter, Collins. You can play a ton of guys in this game. Look, Collins is 5,200. This is a revenge spot, played at Kentucky. He's a boom-bust GPP option. I'm a little afraid of his projections, but I've seen him just be chalk and bury us. It's not like he's dirt cheap. I love the guards, man. Bailey here at 4,800. I mean, he's gonna play 30 minutes. That's gonna project well against this defense. His rates though are dreadful. Got to be a little careful here. Only a team total of 72. More of a cash option, I think. I think Collins and Sears are for the tourneys, man. So Jordan Sears at 4,600, 30 minutes off the bench when Miller got injured 7 minutes into the game last time. So, looks like now Bailey is questionable. So we'll see. Undisclosed, right? That would make,
of course,
Curtis Givens, Jordan Sears, even more. Man, Jordan Sears is going to be
is he the free square now?
He's going to be a lock button mega chalk. And I don't know why you would. This guy was starting and was like, we'd pay 7K for this guy when he was starting early in the year. He's putting up 20, 30 fantasy points. So he's going to be mega chalk, going to take a ton of shots. If Bailey's out, it makes Curtis Givens, who I didn't like as much with Bailey in. Givens is going to play like 30, 35 minutes. Sears is going to go up to, damn near the whole game. The thing with Curtis Givens is that he profiles similar to Cam Carter, just without a mega shot rate. I mean, I don't say mega, but like 25, 26% shot rate. But that is considering all the other guys in. If he's on the floor with all these other guys out, maybe his shot rate gets up into the 25 to 28% range. So, here we go, man. We can't forget Derek Fountain. They'll be down to 6 guys. I mean, Derek Fountain, 3,300, 24 minutes is returned from injury. Probably safe again for 20 plus minutes. Even in this is the matchup, Jay. Like, there's gonna be a ton of possessions in this one. Kentucky isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Kentucky's gonna be at home. If you're down to like your 11th and 12th guy, right? Like, but still 72 projected points, and we got 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 guys under 5K that are easily going to project for 4X plus. Like, yeah, man, there's going to be a bunch of guys on the winner from this game. Unless this game goes like 20 points under, which is not going to happen.
I think Fountain's going to be super popular. I think Fountain's going to be very popular. I think it's just if you're going to try to fit in Kalkbrenner, you're going to have to find guys that are 35, 3,600 eventually. We're going to be able to maneuver, but if you're playing a ton of Kalkbrenner and you're trying to get different, like somebody like Fountain is going to be a name that I think will get clicked a ton for sure. How about Kentucky? Who cares if they haven't played a ton of defense? The points have kept rolling on the offensive side, and they're implied for 86 in this 158 implied total here. The Tigers aren't exactly stopping anybody either, so both of these teams are basically just ole, do whatever you want. Boost on the boards for the Wildcats. Jackson Robinson out for the year, of course. Butler banged up. We've told this story before. We'll tell it again. This should be the Amari Williams show, right? Like,
dude. Yeah,
it should be. I mean, it should absolutely just destroy these guys. And if we know, I mean, if he's going to play 30, 31 minutes, like this is 40, this is 40, this is the lock for 40 in my, like it's just, I don't know. Is he going to, how many minutes though, Mike? What are we getting out of him?
He has to play 30 plus. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is like Edie from 3 years ago. This is Broom from last year.
You say that so confidently. You say that like you make me want to believe that that's a lock here, because if it is, Amari Williams is a lock. Like, I don't understand why we would not put him in to our lineups. If you just tell me 31, yes, okay.
At 27, he's damn near a lock. If I told you 31, you're freaking in every lineup.
Everything. So even so let's say he's at 27. Are you as keen to hit that at 85%? You are. Okay, you're in. All right, we're in on Amari Williams. Good stuff. Well, who else on this one? Who's cheaper on this side?
So because Amari Williams makes so much sense, he will probably have his season-low fantasy points. And Otega Owe will emerge once again from the depths of hell. I love him for tournaments, man. He's going to go overlooked because he's sandwiched between Williams and then, like the Breas and Butlers that are in the 6K range. So I think Owe is kind of interesting for tournaments. Brea playing max minutes, man, 35 plus and 3 straight. He's 6,800, so $1,000 cheaper than Owe. I think a lot of people will go here. I start to worry. And Eric, once those guys get close to 7K and you're reliant on hitting a lot of threes, this is a good matchup, though. I mean, it starts to get a little hairy. Like, you need him to be super efficient. Lamont Butler, I think he's a kind of a cool tournament play. And why I say that is because large field for sure. Because, yes, he's banged up. He's just not healthy. And people kind of know that now. And he toasted 25% of the field last game. It should scare people off. Going back to him, I think is very interesting for large field tournaments. Andrew Carr, 5,400. Yeah, you can look at the box score, 26 fantasy points against Auburn. I'm more interested in the minutes. 2 of the last 3 games, he's gotten at least 28. The $700 price increase, that sucks, right? But he's in the player pool. It's an 86 team total. Like, you can get 5 to 6. If Bailey's out, you can play 6 guys from this game. Probably closer to 5 potentially, but yeah, we'll see here, man. This is a great game, and we have a really sucky game coming up here. So the excitement is about to be very little here.
Yeah, before we deflate all the air out of this balloon, shout out to Nate for dropping the fire emojis in the chat right after I called for it. What it do? And then Eric the Blue typing it out. Like a typewriter is the word I was looking for there instead of just the sound effects. Typing it out, doing all the big things behind there. Good stuff, Nate and Eric, For sure. Sears is always good for 10 missed field goal attempts. Darren, I laughed at that when I saw that earlier. That's good stuff right there. Uh-oh. Darren knows where we're going. Attention, one and done listeners. We are issuing a double bonus alert for North Saddle Mary. Thank you. And now we return to your regularly scheduled programming. It's like he knows.
Doesn't he have like 4 million doubles in his career?
I think it's actually 4,027,000. Sorry.
Okay.
We need the exact number there. We're not going to spend too much time on this one, Mike. O'Meary, 9,800, does project pretty well in this matchup. And he's done a good job of staying on the court and not just hacking away. We definitely appreciate that when we know we're going to get max minutes out of O'Meary. And when we can get max minutes, we're going to get that double-double like Darren was alluding to. Mr. Double-double, as I like to refer to Darren, loves himself a double-double bonus. And who doesn't? O'Meary gives you that for sure here. Stock production, maybe? Like, can we get some? Can we stumble into a couple of steals here?
That'd be nice.
81 carry double-doubles, by the way, for O'Meary. 81. Not too shabby, man. Who else on this Baylor side? Anybody?
I mean, Edgecombe for tournaments is always in play. We haven't seen 40 plus from him since like the end of January, though. So I think he's kind of a cool tournament play. Wright, Roach, like those are more cash guys. None's kind of meh. Like I'm not feeling it, man. This is ugly, man. Like 70 to 68. What are we doing?
Yeah, well, TCU does play a little bit of defense. If you didn't know that, right? This is going to be. There's a reason this total is as low as it is, and Baylor's going to have a tough time outside of O'Meary, getting a ton done. TCU is going to have just as tough of a time. Baylor plays some defense as well. They do give it up from beyond the arc a little bit, do the Bears, giving up 36% from three on the year. And 346th in opponent assist rate. Not something that off the top of my head that would have just clicked for me that Baylor was that bad.
It's weird
Giving up assists. It is really weird, but a boost for the Horned Frogs here. Not a ton to get excited about, Mike, on this side. Like really at all.
They're just playing a bunch of people. Like it's Alette playing a bunch of minutes, and then everybody else can play 25. So. I mean, he's going to play 35 minutes. Like, still not gonna project out great. It is at home. He's been so bad from three. So that 3-point boost, he's shooting like 9% in conference from three. It's not been pretty. So I'm probably passing on this whole team, man. If you want to take a look at Alette or Reynolds, like okay, but we just talked about it. A game where you can play 5 guys. Like, well, I don't know why we're trying to jam in anything from this one, man. There's much better options even in this Villanova Georgetown total. O'Meary
81 career doubles. Alette with 2, if you were curious, right there. If you're chasing that, Alette. I don't want TC. I don't want to.
Was that points and turnovers or?
Probably. I don't want to associate myself with anybody forcing touches on anybody, especially TCU. Baylor's just never mind. We're not going to get into that. Okay.
Oh my!
Moving on there. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you're still hanging out with us after that, we appreciate you. Hop in the live chat. We'd love to hear from you if you're hanging out with us for the first time. If you are, I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. We're getting you that bread, and we're bringing you the blueprints for success on this 7-game Tuesday slates. A couple of games left on this one before we get to the vaunted Core 4. A way to start your lineups out in cash and tournament games. But let's get to Nova and Georgetown here. Not much better of a total, going from 138 to 141 here, of course, according to KenPom's projections and metrics. Projects at least to be a close one. And the first game was a close one as well. Georgetown won on the road 64-63, which makes me – maybe you hope it goes to overtime, but first to 60 doesn't exactly make it tingle. Sorber was great in that first one. PV had 24, and Dixon had a big game as well, 29, 6, and 3 in that first matchup. So obviously, there you go. PV and Dixon basically scored all of the points in the entire matchup for these two teams. Let's start on the Nova side. 71 implied points, slower than Christmas, literally 354th in tempo. Is Villanova, and Georgetown will pace up most teams that they play as they're 127th in the country. They've also been pretty solid defensively. But again, no Sorber out for the year now.
Ouch. I think he was third on that list that Evan Maya put out today in individual defense. So, yeah, it's not the same defense anymore.
And Villanova, 357th in bench minutes used. I didn't even have to ask for it. Mike already had the double thumbs up because he knew where I was going with that. So we like what we get from that perspective in this one, but still the projected totals here, these team totals don't exactly blow your socks off. Eric Dixon, 9,900 in this one, back-to-back 50 burgers in awesome spots against Butler and Seton Hall. And now no Sorber. What? Why not? I mean, when Sorber was in, he had scored over 40 fantasy points. So, I mean, cash tournaments, whatever you want to do with them, great spend-up option on this one. You need the rebounding to make sure that it comes.
Been doing it lately.
Well, but if it doesn't, even if he doesn't do that for you, then what do you need? Probably 30 plus real life points for him to pay off. Because we were begging for stocks in the last game from O'Meary, and I'm pleading. I am not even begging. I am pleading for Eric Dixon to fall into a steal or two. Just trip over into one. I don't care. Please, man. Eric. But no, man, he's been so solid lately for them. A great spend up on this slate. How do you feel about Dixon and the rest of this team?
Yeah, you gotta love Dixon, man. And the rest of these guys, oof, man. Poplar, I just cannot play him over 8K. He's 8,700. Like, he's been rebounding at an insane rate this year, partly because Dixon hasn't been rebounding. But I never pay this for Poplar, man. So Largefield tournament, if you want to take a shot, and Dixon $1,200 cheaper, but I don't think we need to get that cute. Brickus and Longino, they play a ton of minutes, man. And like when you project them, like boom bust type tourney options, like one of these guys could easily go for 25, 20, 26, 28. Brickus has the higher assist upside. Longino, he doesn't do anything else, so he's got to make his shots, and he's got to have a couple of things fall his way. This range right here, Jay, is not going to be very popular because you want to get a couple of spin ups. You got to go down for the pick 3 LSU guys that are cheap, especially if Bailey's out. So this is not going to be an area that's going to be very popular. If you get the thing is, it's hard. Like, you want to get cute here, but can 8 guys up top bust? Like, probably not. You need half of them to probably bust to have a shot, and then you need the value to bust. So this 5 to 6K range is pretty atrocious here, man. But this Georgetown side, man, the spin ups, dude, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we know Villanova's been solid defensively, but they're not going to turn you over. It's not super scary. They're just solid enough. You can get yours if you're as talented as Micah Peavy is.
Dude, he was crazy.
It's Micah Peavy. Like, yeah, I know. I mean, basically, let's not just look at these last couple of games and be like, oh, no, that's not. He was going just like scorched earth for like 2 weeks. Mid-February, Peavy. Exactly, Darren. Bring him back. And I think he's on the path for that tomorrow. The ceiling here, man. Like, again, there's so many great spend ups here. There's so many guys that you just look at and you're like, I can absolutely win a tournament with this guy as my spend up on any given slate. There's so many options. Peavy's got to be one of those guys that you consider, Mike.
Yeah, man, I love him here. I hope people are like, oh man, like burnt to crisp, right? But he's down $800. 10K. You're gonna be able to get to him with all this value. Yeah, I love Peavy. The rest of these guys, I'm spinning the wheel with the pricing now. Jay Neps is over 6K. How scary can that be? How scary can that be? Sorry, Darren. Didn't see that before we mentioned Jaden Epps, but he's been doing something right because now he's 6,200.
Oh, thank you.
That's something that he's been doing is not good enough for 6,200, and I'm not taking the downside of Jaden Epps here. Jordan Burks, I'm not chasing the double-double. Benefited from Fielder fouling out last game. The minutes are great, but then against the price, like Peavy's takes basically every shot. If he's not taking every shot, Epps is jacking up a 3. If he's not jacking up a 3, Malik Mack is running around trying to get layups. forcing shots. So Burke's probably not there, man. A Fielder, I think, is pretty interesting for tournaments because everyone has been getting beat up by Fielder. I know Caleb Williams is back, which is annoying. But they need someone to guard Dixon. Now, he could foul out pretty easily again. But if he happens to stay in, I think he's still got a ceiling of 28 to 32 minutes, man. Like when he fouled out against Kalkbrenner a couple of weeks ago, they had Micah Peavy trying to guard Kalkbrenner, and that's why he went for, I think he had like 45 fantasy points that night. So, yeah, I think Fielder's interesting for tournaments, but really it's the spin-ups on both sides, Dixon and Peavy. These other guys are just kind of, unless we get like an injury pop up that we can use, one of the mega cheap guys as like a, as a starter, then not really here, man.
Villanova, 357th in bench minutes used. Georgetown, 300th in bench minutes used. You know who the stars are. You know who's going to get the run. And if you're spending up for a couple of guys on this slate, there are two great options right there in that matchup. One more game here on this 7-game slate. Do we leave this one for last so I wouldn't have a sour ass mood?
That's just the way it came up on the slate, sir.
I bet. Yeah, sure. Hit the like and subscribe now before you listen to me bitch and moan about the Longhorns. Now hit those buttons first, please. Show us some love. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Darren is very confident that Rodney Terry can rally the horns and go on a deep NIT run, and I appreciate your optimism, Darren, for sure. I'm not as on board with that thought, but the talent that's the type of team that's just talented enough just to get against some teams in an NIT and just do whatever. We've seen it before. There's a banner hanging up in the Moody Center because of it. But yeah, see, there you go. I already got off the rails. 149 points implied on this one. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, please. Texas 71 implied points here. Mississippi State, middle of the pack defensively in the SEC. They are giving it up at 37% clip from beyond the arc in the conference. Weaver, questionable tag. Mark, questionable tag. And really, it's been the Trey Johnson show anyway, Mike. 9,200 on this slate. This is another guy that you could just throw him in that. Throw him in that gumbo of spend-ups that could drop 45, 50 fantasy points. He's definitely capable for sure. And when you get 38-plus minutes in 5 out of the last 7 games, it's the Trey Johnson show. It's what it's been. It's what it's turned into. And if they expect to even remotely have a chance to get back into the big tournament, if you will, March Madness, if they have a chance to get back into that one, they need Trey Johnson to have the biggest Trey Johnson game he can possibly have. Is this a safe play? Is this a safe play, Mike? No, it's not. I totally understand why this is not something that people would just be running out to go and do. But, Mike, you've been talking about it a lot. This was the type of slate to play a lot of mass multi-entries in. And Trey Johnson, with the 50 fantasy point ceiling that we know we can have, I think he's at least got to be in the mix there. It's not something that, let's lock it in for Trey Johnson.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to see that comma come up on the account.
Desperate team.
Yeah, this is the type of player that can definitely get it done for you.
Yeah, him and Arthur Kaluma, man. Kaluma's price is, ticking up here. He's 7,300 now. He's living in that 6K, high 5K range.
Still too cheap.
Of course, 32 and 36 fantasy points. Like, he's going to play 30-plus minutes. This is a tough matchup inside with Murphy and Matthews, but a tournament option for sure, especially playing in that large field, man. I'm not playing Shedrick. I'm not playing Pope. Larry's kind of been non-existent. I don't know why. Doesn't really have the role that he should have. Kent's been awesome, but not in a 4.5 K limited role. Like, no thanks. Devin Pryor, though, 4K, 30 and 34 minutes. If these guys are out again, he's at 27 combined. I'd much rather him be 3,500 again. He's got some talent. Definitely projects decently, right? Obviously, you project anybody at 30 minutes. Like, you're just on the floor. Something has to happen. But buyer beware on this Texas team, Jay. Like, we know what it is, man. It could get ugly, or Trey Johnson or Arthur Kaluma could have a big one here, man. And Devin Pryor's another value play here, man. But let's hop on over
You
to this.
don't even want to entertain Pope at 5.4. That's not even something you want to consider.
Nah, because Hubbard's going to cook Pope on the other end and get him off the floor.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, Jordan. He's playing 35 minutes. I'm not. He's so shot dependent. Maybe I'm just scarred by the season. I can see it, Jay. I mean,
both can be true.
Yeah,
both of those things can still be true.
Damn, I hate when Texas is on the slate, man.
It's tough.
I guess really Pope has to be in your player pool because he's going to project well in 35 minutes there. I'm not playing him, so good luck.
Right. See, I like that. I like it. Consider it 5.4, even if Mike won't. Gonna have to find some cheaper options. We want to spend up on some of these stars, man. And we're gonna have to have a little bit of, maybe one of those guys around the 5,500, 5,800 that we're gonna have to plug in a couple of. And why not? Maybe Pope. Nah, he's probably not the best play. Mississippi State. Oh my God! Texas is a 7-point. What's the actual line of this game?
No,
Can somebody tell me that? Don't. Let's get to Mississippi State. Texas doesn't play any defense, especially of late. They just have not at all. Unfortunately, Mississippi State's rotations are frustrating, to say the least. They're 135th in bench minutes used. Not the best, but, it's something to consider when you're thinking about Josh Hubbard at 9,100 here. He's shown that he can get there. 9,100 for Josh Hubbard feels like a large number.
That's a big number.
It feels like a big one. But we've seen it. He can get there. He hasn't been under 30 fantasy points since the end of January. And the aforementioned Jordan Pope, we're not grading him on his defense here on this DFS show, but he's not going to stop Josh Hubbard. Okay, so I guess, man, you're not playing Josh Hubbard in a cash game at 9,100, but
no, don't do that.
Again, this is one of those weird ones where it feels sticky, it feels icky, whatever icky word you want to, a word that ends in that sound. Sticky, icky, ooh, ooh. But I don't know, man. It almost feels like you got to work him into a tournament here because it could happen. It could very well pay off.
It could happen.
At this one. It could happen. Darren's saying he's too expensive. He agrees with you, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Okay, so on the DK lines, Texas plus 7.5. So it's pretty close to what Ken Palm has right here too. So yeah, Eric, Vicky, exactly. Sticky, icky, Vicky, put them all in there. Anything that ends in it, that's what it is to play Josh Hubbard. All right, wrap us up here, Mike, with the rest of these guys on the Mississippi State side.
I usually like using Murphy in tournaments. I hate playing him when he's closer to 8K. Minutes are really volatile. I do love Cam Matthews for tourneys, though, man. He's he's sitting down here at a price that we hadn't seen him at in a long time, and that's because he hadn't really done anything. And I always say he can only take 3 or 4 shots, and that's basically what he's done if he ever finds his way to 10 field goals. I just think he's interesting because, he's live to pick up a bunch of stocks and rebounds against this Texas team. I think he's kind of sneaky if you want to play him in a large field. And then you have RJ Melendez and Riley Kugel, who have been basically will one show up? Will neither show up? Will both show up? And we don't ever know what's going to happen. So Melendez, 5,700. These guys are boom bust GPP targets. If you give these guys 30 minutes, they're going to project well. Do they play 30 minutes consistently? No. They can get yanked. There's no minute security with these guys. Riley Kugel, 4,600. If you give him 30 minutes, he's going to project well. But we've been saying that for 3 years. There's no minute security with these guys. They play 17, then 27, then 30, then 18. But you're getting an $1,100 discount off of Melendez. So, I mean, look at this for Kugel, man. 30 minutes, 16 minutes, 25 minutes, 17 minutes, 28 minutes. You have zero security with these 2 guys. But 78 implied total. They're 2 of the cheaper options. They're guys that can get hot from the field. I mean, Melendez, he could go for 30 fantasy points, and so could Kugel. So, yeah, I mean, for tourneys, One or the other, man. I don't mind it.
That's like these guys is like the epitome of boom bust type plays, especially in Melendez at 5,700. Like, you really got to feel good that he's going to play 30 minutes. Like, you really got to play good. You really got to feel good about that. But I don't know, Kugel, man. Like, yeah, Eric knows. He knows a pattern when he sees one. 18 minutes incoming. You know what's happening for Kugel. I mean, hey, if you could just, rub the old crystal ball here and please tell me how many minutes each one of these guys is going to play on a Tuesday night, that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, and Darren also chiming in with the Mickey there. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Thanks, Darren. Always good. Always down to drop us a live chat there. We appreciate you, man. All right. Let's stop talking about Texas before I rip out the tiny bit of hair that I have left, and move on to the core four and more. You know, we bring you the core four ways, usually four-ish ways, to start your slate off right. These are guys that we recommend considering when you're sort of toying with your lineups. Start with these cats and go from there. A couple of spend-ups I'm going to talk about from a cash game perspective. Eric Dixon and Braden Smith. Cash game, or maybe even if you want to just consider it that safe tournament play. I don't know if you want to look for safe when you're spending $9,900, but from a floor perspective of what these guys are going to bring, it's definitely there. Eric Dixon, $9,900, going to play every minute. Talked about Sorber being out, and he's already crushed Georgetown once. He's been hot as well. So Dixon, Braden Smith, great team total here. Nuclear in the first matchup against Rutgers, 16 and 14. No, not rebounds, assists for one of the best point guards in all the land as well. Let's go a little bit bigger here. Damian Collins from LSU at 5,200. LSU's playing shorthanded, and then you got the revenge narrative against Kentucky for Collins. DJ Bailey, we talked about him being questionable earlier. It's game time decision leaning more probable, it sounds like. If he's in, he's going to play 30 minutes. Solid floor there at 4,800. If he's out, then suggesting that you pivot to Givens. Okay, so with Dixon, Smith, Collins, and DJ Bailey here, Desai Bailey, excuse me, we've got 5.1K. I got to squint to see some of this stuff. So my goodness gracious.
That's good, man. Now tell me when you see the flicker.
Jeez. Save us, Mike. Bring us the tournament core four, man. I left 5.1. Forget the safety. Darren doesn't want the unleaded. He wants the forget the curve.
Give him the heater.
Give him the heater, Ricky. What do you got here on this tournament core four, man?
Micah Peavy, man. I think Darren's asking for it. He made his call in the chat here. Or Ryan Clockburner, but I'd say Peavy for price. Amari Williams, the ceiling's going to be incredible if he gets 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Jordan Sears, he's going to take 1,000 shots, especially if Bailey's out. And then Kugel, man, at 4,600. You're playing tournaments, man, you got to play these guys that have these 5 to 6x type ceilings. And it could just be Kugel plays 16 minutes, and there you go. Sears could miss all 15 shots. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier. He's going to build a house of bricks, but you need guys with feelings, man. So, just love this type of core because it kind of keeps you in that mid-5 range. You can go down and get another cheapy option if you wanted to add a Givens. You can go all the way back up and get you another stud. You can pretty much do what you want. And there's probably going to be injury news tomorrow too, Jay. So, do what you want on this slate, it feels like. But definitely going to want to get into this LSU-Kentucky game. And maybe getting a little different in this game could be the difference. So we'll see. We'll see what LSU what they have on their roster. That could be the first thing to answer. Fountain too is another guy at 30.
Yeah, I was about to bring up Fountain. Like if you plug Fountain in there with those guys, what does that leave you with? And the ability again. Like I think he's going to be more popular than we're giving it credit for right now. I think he's going to be somebody that everybody looks at and is like, oh my God, like 3,300. How do we not get
3,300? Yeah.
Yeah. for sure. So, all right, good stuff there. Man, if you drop Fountain
6,300, yeah.
6,300 per for the last you could get in another stud in there. It's something to consider, guys and gals. You know I always start us off with the old safety on with the cash core for Darren. You know how I do it. Safer plays. I dabble in the cash games. Mike brings the heat, of course. Mike's chasing commas, and that's what we're all chasing commas. Let's be real. We're all doing it. Mike brings the heat, and that's why we love it. Michael showing us the love in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us here on One and Done. We definitely appreciate everybody for doing their part in the One and Done universe by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, turning on the notification bell so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. At One and Done CBB on all the socials, at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Eric pushing the buttons tonight and always. Well, almost always, because when he's not, our guy CC Hustle at the Real Napier's doing it, and he's doing stuff behind the scenes too. And you saw both of those guys in the live chat, along with Cam, Darren, Jeremy, Forklift Jeremy, the reigning champion of the One and Done, aka MC Holland Invitational, Michael P, Mike's Money Picks. Make sure you get that link that's in the live chat or later on in the description to get in the One and Done Invitational. I'm sure there were 15 people already in it before we started the show. So I don't know how much, isn't that right? I believe, Mike, wasn't it already like?
Yeah, I think it got up to 17. We're at 18 now. So
all right. So you guys and gals, click that link and get over there to the One and Done Invitational. Make sure you get over to BracketBids.com. And the BracketBids app for our friends over there using the promo code BREAD to get 40% off of your league activation fees over there. Mike, a 7-game slate on a Tuesday, a chance to take home some bread. How you feeling about it, man?
I feel amazing once I know what's happening with LSU.
Some stuff to watch, man. Some stuff to pay attention to. So we're going to do our best to get that to you. Follow us over on X at One and Done CBB. Follow Mike at MC Holland 34, the OG Money Mike, El Capitan around these parts in these One and Done streets. We appreciate him. We appreciate all of you for hanging out with us. Good luck indeed in the 5th annual MC Holland tournament, as Darren says it in the.
Just because I made an eyesight joke, man, you gotta go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's never gonna die, and I refuse to let it die.
I'm going to email DraftKings about taking that off.
Well, I'll email it back. UNT versus Wichita State. Go Mean Green. Our guy Darren, let's tune in. Make sure you tune into One and Done always, man. We appreciate y'all. Don't go far. We're never too far away from you. Hit all those buttons so you don't miss anything that we're doing. We'll be back with some more DFS action later in the week. We'll be back with another wrap-up show at the end of the week. So follow us everywhere that you can. I am at Dr. William Cannon over on X. Follow me and I'll follow you back. Tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourself. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace out, y'all.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.